The early morning mist clung to the winding roads of Willow Creek, Oregon. The sky a pale gray at 04:30 a.m. PDT on Saturday, June 14, 2025. The air thick with the scent of damp earth and pine needles. A faint whimper cut through the stillness, drawing the attention of 4-year-old Lily, her blonde curls tousled under a pink hooded jacket, her small hands clutching a stuffed teddy bear as she peeked out her bedroom window. Below, on the gravel, shoulder of Route 12, a German shepherd lay sprawled, his black and tan fur matted with blood and dirt, a heavy chain taut around his neck, the other end dragging from a rusted car abandoned nearby. The car's tires were slashed, the air heavy with the metallic tang of gasoline and the dog's pained breaths. Lily's mother, Sarah, rushed to the window, her robe fluttering, the scent of coffee from the kitchen mingling with her sharp intake of breath. "Oh my God," she whispered, her voice trembling, grabbing her phone as she dialed 911, the faint crackle of the call blending with the morning's eerie quiet. Her father, Tom, joined, his boots thudding on the hardwood floor, his flannel shirt catching the dim light as he peered out. Someone chained him and drove off. The air softened, the pines swaying gently, the road a grim stage for this silent suffering. Lily's teddy bear pressed against the glass, its button eyes reflecting the scene, her innocence a stark contrast to the brutality. The German shepherd's eyes deep brown and pleading met Lily's gaze, his tail giving a weak wag, the chain clinking softly against the gravel. The air carried a sharp edge of dew evaporating from the road, the mist thinning as dawn approached, the car's hood still warm, a clue to the cruelty. Sarah knelt beside Lily, her hand on her daughter's shoulder, tears glistening, the phone pressed to her ear, the operator's voice a distant hum. Tom grabbed a blanket from the couch, its woolen scent trailing him as he stepped outside, the gravel crunching under his boots, the air growing thick with urgency and sorrow. The sun began to rise, casting golden streaks across the road, the breeze carrying a shiver of hope, the pines standing tall as silent witnesses. Lily's tiny voice broke the tension. "Help him, Mommy," her words a child's plea, the air softening with the weight of her compassion. The dog whimpered again, his fur stained with the struggle, the chain a cruel tether, the abandoned car a haunting relic. The road stretched into the distance, the town still asleep, the family's home a beacon poised for the next act in this unfolding drama. The morning light strengthened over Willow Creek, Oregon, the sky turning a soft blue at 05 a.m. PDT on Saturday, June 14, 2025, the air warm with the scent of pine and the faint bitterness of coffee brewing inside the house. Lily, her pink jacket streaked with dirt from her earlier peek, slipped out the door with her stuffed teddy bear, her small feet padding across the dewy grass, her blue eyes fixed on the German shepherd still chained to the abandoned car on the gravel shoulder of Route 12. The dog's black and tan fur was caked with mud and blood, his breath shallow and ragged, the heavy chain rattling as he tried to lift his head, the rusted car's frame creaking in the gentle breeze. The road hummed with the distant approach of sirens, the air thick with the promise of impending help. Sarah, Lily's mother, followed close behind, her robe tied hastily around her waist, the phone still clutched in her hand, its screen glowing. With the 911 call, her voice a mix of fear and determination. "Lily, stay back." The scent of her lavender lotion mingled with the morning air as she reached for her daughter, her footsteps soft on the damp grass. Tom, her father, emerged from the house with a thick woolen blanket draped over his arm, its earthy scent trailing him, his heavy boots crunching the gravel as he moved toward the dog, his flannel shirt catching the first golden rays of dawn. The air softened, the pines swaying gently, the road a tense stage for this brave approach. Lily, undeterred by her mother's warning, toddled closer, her tiny hand outstretched toward the German shepherd, the teddy bear dangling from her other arm, its button eyes reflecting the dim light. "It's okay, puppy," she cooed, her voice a gentle melody cutting through the morning stillness, her innocence a stark contrast to the dog's suffering. The German shepherd's deep brown eyes softened at her approach, his tail giving a faint hopeful wag, the chain clinking against the car's battered bumper, the air growing heavy with emotion. The sirens grew louder, their red and blue lights flashing through the dense pine trees, a beacon of rescue piercing the misty dawn. Tom knelt beside the dog, the blanket unfolding over his matted fur, its warmth a stark contrast to the cold, cruel chain, the air carrying a sharp edge of gasoline and rust from the abandoned vehicle. Sarah joined him, her hands trembling as she helped lift the dog's head, the chain's weight evident in her strained movements, the car's hood still warm from its violent journey. Lily sat beside them, her pink jacket brushing the gravel, her small fingers tentatively touching the dog's paw, the air softening with the sound of her soothing whispers. "You're safe now." The police arrived, their boots thudding against the road, their uniforms crisp and authoritative, the scent of leather and exhaust mingling with the pine-scented breeze, the scene a tableau of courage and care. The sun climbed higher, casting golden rays across the gravel and grass, the breeze carrying a shiver of relief, the pines standing tall as silent witnesses to the unfolding rescue. The officer, a burly man with a kind face and a badge gleaming in the light, approached with a pair of bolt cutters, the metal snapping loudly as he severed the chain, the air alive with the dog's relieved whimper and the clatter of the broken links hitting the ground. Lily's teddy bear fell from her grasp, landing softly on the gravel, its button eyes catching the sunrise, her innocence a catalyst for this moment of liberation. The German shepherd licked her hand weakly, his fur still rough and blood-streaked, but his spirit lifting with each gentle touch. The vet team arrived moments later, their white coats rustling, the scent of antiseptic trailing them as they prepared. A stretcher, the air growing thick with the promise of healing. Sarah scooped Lily into her arms, her robe fluttering in the breeze, tears streaming down her face as she held her daughter close, the phone now silent in her pocket. Tom stood, the blanket draped over his shoulder, his boots steady on the gravel, his voice low. She saved him. The dog's eyes followed Lily as he was lifted onto the stretcher, his tail giving another weak wag, the car a silent testament to the ordeal now ending. The road stretched toward the town, the family's home a haven in the distance poised for the next chapter in the dog's life. The morning sun bathed Willow Creek, Oregon, in a warm glow at 07 a.m. PDT on Saturday, June 14, 2025. The air filled with the scent of antiseptic and the soft hum of a veterinary clinic nestled along Route 12. Lily, her pink jacket now clean but her small hands still smudged with traces of gravel, sat on a wooden bench outside the clinic, her stuffed teddy bear cradled in her lap, her tiny feet dangling as she watched the German shepherd being carried inside, on a stretcher. The dog's black and tan fur was matted and scarred from his ordeal, the red marks of the chain vivid against his neck, his deep brown eyes following Lily with a flicker of gratitude, the air thick with the sound of his labored breathing. The road outside was quiet, the abandoned car long towed away, the clinic a sanctuary for this healing touch. Sarah, Lily's mother, stood beside the vet, a woman with gentle hands and a calm demeanor, the scent of her lavender soap blending with the clinic's sterile air, her voice steady as she spoke. "He's dehydrated and injured, but he'll recover." The vet adjusted a stethoscope, the faint click echoing softly, her white coat rustling as she moved. Tom, Lily's father, lingered nearby, his flannel shirt wrinkled from the morning's rush, his boots scuffing the linoleum floor, the woolen blanket now folded neatly over his arm, the air softening with the weight of relief that settled over the family. Lily slid off the bench, her small steps pattering against the floor, her voice a whisper. "I help, puppy?" The vet's smile was warm as she guided Lily toward the dog, the air growing heavy with the scent of bandages and a fragile hope. The vet applied a cool salve to the dog's wounds, the gel soothing the raw skin, the air carrying a sharp edge of medicinal herbs, the stretcher creaking under his weakened frame. Sarah knelt beside Lily, her hand resting on her daughter's back, tears glistening in her eyes, the phone now silent in her pocket after the earlier emergency call. Tom fetched a shallow bowl of water from a nearby sink, its gentle splash a comforting sound, the air softening as the German shepherd took his first tentative drink, his tongue lapping gratefully, the water droplets catching the morning light. The sun streamed through the clinic's large window, casting golden rays across the room, the pines visible outside, the road a distant memory replaced by this moment of care. Neighbors began to trickle in, their footsteps soft on the clinics, wooden steps, their hands laden with offerings, bags of dog food, colorful toys, and a soft blue blanket, the air growing thick with the warmth of community support. The elderly man with a cane shuffled forward, his voice warm and gravelly. Little Hero saved him, the scent of his peppermint candies mingling with the clinic's antiseptic aroma. Lily giggled, her teddy bear pressed tightly to her chest, its ear upright, her innocence a bright spark that ignited this healing process, the dog's breathing steadying with each passing minute. The vet nodded approvingly. He's strong thanks to her. The air alive with the rustle of wrapping bandages around his wounds, the clinic a haven for this tender touch. The sun climbed higher, the breeze carrying a shiver of hope through the open window, the pines swaying gently as silent witnesses to the dog's recovery. The German shepherd nuzzled Lily's hand, his fur still rough and patchy but his spirit lifting with her presence, the chain's cruel memory fading into the background. The road stretched toward the town, the family's home a beacon in the distance, the clinic poised for the next step in the dog's journey sparked by a child's compassionate heart. A young woman with a golden retriever peeked in, her voice soft. We brought treats. The scent of peanut butter biscuits adding a sweet note to the air. The community's love, a tangible force in the room. The air carried the faint hum of a lawnmower from a nearby yard, the clinic's interior a cocoon of care. The vet's hand steady as she checked the dog's pulse, the stethoscope cold against his fur. Lily's tiny fingers brushed the bandage on his neck, her touch gentle, the air softening with the sound of her quiet hum, a lullaby for the hurting animal. Sarah wiped a tear, her robe exchanged for a sweater, her voice low. She's amazing. Tom nodded, his boots tapping softly, the blanket now draped over a chair, the air growing heavier with the weight of their shared relief. The dog's tail gave a weak wag, his eyes locked on Lily, a silent bond forming in the morning light. The clinic's clock ticked steadily, the sunlight shifting across the floor, the breeze bringing in the earthy scent of pine needles. The room, a stage for this healing. A teenage boy arrived with a handmade card, its crayon colors bright, his sneakers squeaking on the floor. For the puppy, he said, his smile wide. The vet adjusted the stretcher, the dog settling comfortably, the air alive with the rustle of the new blanket being tucked around him. Lily clapped her hands, her laughter a rhythmic comfort, the clinic a sanctuary where her bravery began to mend not just the dog, but the hearts of all who witnessed it. The midday sun shone over Willow Creek, Oregon, the sky a brilliant blue at 12 p.m. PDT on Saturday, June 14, 2025. The air filled with the scent of grilled hot dogs and the excited chatter of neighbors gathering outside the veterinary clinic along Route 12. Lily, her pink jacket swapped for a clean yellow dress, sat cross-legged on the soft grass, her stuffed teddy bear tucked under her arm, her small hands gently patting the German shepherd, now named Max by her, his black and tan fur cleaned and his wounds bandaged with neat white wraps. Max's tail wagged steadily, his deep brown eyes reflecting the growing crowd, the air thick with the warmth of community spirit. The road buzzed with life, the pines framing a scene of unity, the abandoned car a fading memory replaced by this joyful gathering. Neighbors approached, their footsteps soft on the grass, their hands laden with gifts, dog beds, sturdy leashes, and a bright blue collar that jingled faintly, their voices soft with awe and gratitude. A young woman with a golden retriever by her side offered a plush chew toy, smiling warmly at Lily. You're our hero, sweetie, her words carrying over the hum of the crowd. The air softened, the sun casting golden rays through the pine branches, the clinic's parking lot transforming into a lively stage for this embrace. Sarah, now dressed in jeans and a light sweater, spoke with a police officer near the clinic door, her voice steady, the faint crackle of his radio blending with the midday bustle. Tom handed out cold water bottles from a cooler, his flannel shirt catching the light, the air growing heavy with shared care and admiration. Max licked Lily's hand, his tail thumping against the grass. The air alive with the scent of freshly cut lawn and the dog's healing fur. The neighbors formed a loose circle around them, their faces lit with admiration. The road's earlier isolation replaced by a tight-knit bond. Lily giggled, her teddy bear's ear upright as she pressed it close, her innocence a bright thread, weaving through the gathering. The pines swayed gently, their rustling a soft backdrop, the scent of pine needles mingling with the smoky aroma of the hot dogs cooking on a nearby grill. The officer, the burly man from the rescue with a kind face, added a report to a clipboard, his uniform crisp as he nodded toward Lily with a respectful tip of his cap. The air carried a sharp edge of dew evaporating from the grass. The midday, warmth seeping into the scene, the clinic a canvas for this outpouring of support. A teenage boy arrived on a skateboard, his wheels humming as he rolled to a stop, offering a handmade sign reading, "Thank you, Lily," in bold red and blue crayon, his eyes wide with respect. Sarah knelt beside her daughter, her hand resting on Lily's shoulder, tears glistening as she whispered, "You did this," her voice thick with pride. Max nuzzled closer, his breath warm against Lily's leg, the air softening with the scent of bandages and the sweet relief of the moment. The road stood as a stage, the pines framing this response, her compassion sparking a future for Max and the town. The sun climbed higher, casting dappled shadows across the grass, the breeze carrying a shiver of joy through the crowd. The neighbors' voices rose and fell in a chorus of appreciation, their gifts piling around Max, treats, a water bowl, even a small doghouse, the air growing thicker with their collective love. A woman with a camera stepped forward, snapping a photo, the click a memento, the flash reflecting off Max's eyes as he tilted his head toward Lily. The scent of mustard and ketchup from the hot dogs added a tangy note. The grill's smoke, curling upward, the clinic's lot a tapestry of kindness and unity. A child from down the street ran up, offering a drawing of Max with a superhero cape, her giggles blending with Lily's laughter. The air hummed with the faint buzz of a drone. Overhead, likely a news crew capturing the story. The pines standing tall as silent witnesses to this outpouring. Tom joined the circle, his boots thudding softly on the grass, his hands distributing more water, his smile wide as he watched Lily. "She's changed everything," he said to a neighbor, the air softening with the scent of pine and grilled food. Max stretched out beside Lily, his bandaged leg resting comfortably, his tail wagging in rhythm with her pats, the community's embrace a healing balm for his wounds. The officer approached with a certificate. "For bravery," he said, handing it to Lily, the paper crinkling in her small hands. The crowd thickened, the air growing heavy with the weight of their shared emotion. The clinic's door opening, as the vet stepped out, her white coat pristine, her nod confirming Max's improving condition. Lily clapped her hands, her yellow dress swaying in the breeze, her laughter a rhythmic comfort that lifted the spirits of all present. The road stretched toward the town, the family's home a beacon in the distance, the parking lot a stage for this new chapter, where a toddler's courage had united a community around a rescued dog's second chance. The afternoon sun warmed Willow Creek, Oregon, the sky a clear blue at Road 2's RPM PDT on Saturday, June 14, 2025. The air rich with the scent of freshly baked chocolate chip cookies and the playful barks of Max echoing from the family's backyard along Route 12. Lily, her yellow dress swaying gently in the breeze, sat on the wooden porch steps, her small hands patting Max's cleaned black and tan fur as he lounged beside her, his new blue collar jingling softly with each wag of his tail. The roads earlier, chaos, the chain, the abandoned car, had faded into a distant memory, the air now filled with the sweet aroma of her mother's baking, mingling with the earthy scent of the surrounding pine forest. Max's deep brown eyes shone with trust, his tail thumping steadily against the porch, a bond sealed by Lily's bravery now solidified in this forever home. Sarah, Lily's mother, stepped out with a plate of warm cookies in hand, the scent of vanilla and melted chocolate trailing her as she set it on the porch railing, her face soft with pride. "You gave him a home," she whispered, her voice warm and thick with emotion, tears glistening as she squeezed Lily's shoulder gently. Tom, Lily's father, arrived with a low rumble as his truck rolled into the driveway, his smile wide, as he stepped out carrying a plush dog bed, the cool fabric brushing Lily's fingers as he handed it to her. The air softened, the sun casting golden rays across the yard, the road a forgotten stage replaced by this peaceful haven. Neighbors peeked over the fence, their voices low with admiration, leaving more toys and treats for Max. The community's love, a living legacy of the day's events. Max nuzzled Lily's hand, his wet lick a gentle thank you, the air growing, thick with joy, the pines framing a serene scene beyond the yard. Her stuffed teddy bear sat nearby on the porch swing, its ear upright, a comforting presence as Lily giggled, her laughter a bright thread in the warm afternoon. The air carried the faint hum of a lawnmower from a neighboring house. The porch, a sanctuary for this resolution, her innocence a catalyst for Max's new life. The new collar clicked into place around Max's neck, the metal tag glinting in the sunlight, a symbol of his fresh start, his tail wagging with renewed energy as he nudged the dog bed into place. The yard buzzed with quiet life, the grass cool, under Lily's bare feet as she tossed a bright red ball for Max, his bark a joyful sound that echoed his recovery. The ball rolling across the lawn with a soft thud. The air softened with the scent of cookies and freshly cut grass, the sun climbing higher, casting dappled shadows across the porch. Sarah snapped a photo with her phone, the camera's click a memento, the flash catching Max mid-leap as he chased the ball, his fur a blur of motion against the green. Tom joined, his boots thudding softly on the steps, his hand ruffling Lily's blonde curls. "Our little hero," he said, his voice thick with pride and love. The pines swayed gently, their rustling a soft lullaby. The road's drama replaced by this tender moment. A neighbor's child peeked through the fence, offering a drawing of Max with a red superhero cape, her giggles blending with Lily's, the air growing heavier with the weight of their shared happiness. The cookies' warmth spread through the family as they shared a treat, the vanilla scent lingering, the porch a stage for this healing. Max returned the ball, dropping it at Lily's feet with a proud tilt of his head, his eyes locked on hers, a silent gratitude that deepened their bond. The air carried a sharp edge of pine resin from the forest, the afternoon warmth seeping into the scene. The yard a haven for this resolution. The sun dipped lower, casting golden hues across the grass, the breeze carrying a shiver of contentment. The community's gifts, a pile of toys, a water bowl, a chew rope, a testament to Willow Creek's unity. Lily's tiny hand rested on Max's head, her dress swaying in the breeze, her laughter a rhythmic comfort that filled the air. The air softened with the scent of cookies and pine, the truck a quiet sentinel in the driveway. Sarah's smile, a beacon of pride as she watched her daughter. A news van rolled by, its antenna catching the light, a reminder of the story that had touched the town, but the focus remained on the porch, where love had taken root. The yard grew lively as Max chased the ball again, his bandaged leg no longer a hindrance, the air alive with the rustle of leaves and the distant call of a blue jay. Tom brought out a small table, setting the cookie plate down, the wood creaking under his weight, his voice low. "This is his home now." Sarah nodded, her hand brushing Lily's cheek, the air growing thick with the weight of their shared joy. Max returned, panting happily, his tongue lolling as he settled beside Lily, the blue collar a constant jingle. The pines stood tall, their shadows lengthening, the road a quiet backdrop to this new beginning. A neighbor's dog barked in the distance, the sound blending with Lily's hum, the air softening with the scent of grass and baked goods, the porch a stage for this forever home. The sun continued its arc, casting a warm glow over the family, the yard a sanctuary where a toddler's courage had transformed a dog's fate. Her heart, though small, swelled with a child's love, the forever home a promise fulfilled, the yard poised for their future, sparked by Lily's compassion and Max's silent resilience. The morning sun filtered through the towering pines of Willow Creek, Oregon, casting dappled light across the forest trail at 10 a.m. PDT on Sunday, June 15, 2025. The air crisp with the scent of pine needles, and the faint sweetness of wild blackberries ripening along the path. Lily, her blonde curls peeking out from a green cap, wore a sturdy pair of hiking boots and a lightweight jacket, her small hands gripping a woven basket as she ventured onto the trail with Max trotting beside her, his blue collar jingling softly. The German shepherd's black and tan fur gleamed in the sunlight, his bandaged leg now healed, his deep brown eyes alert and eager, the air filled with the rustle of leaves under his paws. The road to town was a distant hum, the forest a new frontier for their growing bond. Sarah walked behind, her hiking boots crunching the pine-strewn path, a map tucked into her backpack, the scent of sunscreen and coffee from her thermos blending with the woodland air. "Stay close, Lily," she called, her voice gentle but firm, her eyes scanning the trail for signs of wildlife. Tom led the way, his flannel shirt sleeves rolled up, a compass in hand, the metallic click of its lid echoing, softly, his boots steady on the uneven ground. The air softened, the sun climbing higher, the trail a canvas for this new adventure. Sparked by Lily's curiosity and Max's newfound energy, a red-tailed hawk circled overhead, its sharp cry piercing the morning, the pines standing tall as silent guides. Lily giggled as Max sniffed a cluster of blackberries, his nose twitching, the air carrying a sharp edge of their tart scent. "Berries for Max," she exclaimed, plucking a few and dropping them into her basket, her tiny fingers stained purple. The dog wagged his tail, his tongue darting out to catch a fallen berry, the sound of his happy pant blending with the forest's quiet. Sarah smiled, adjusting her pack, the map rustling as she checked their route, the air growing thick with the promise of discovery. Tom paused, pointing to a narrow side path. "Looks like an old trail, could lead somewhere interesting." His voice low, the compass needle steady in his hand. The trail dipped into a shallow ravine, the air cooling with the shade of overhanging branches, the scent of moss and damp earth rising from the ground. Max bounded ahead, his collar jingling, his nose leading him to a small clearing where a weathered wooden sign lay half buried in leaves, the faded letters reading, "Hidden Spring." Lily clapped her hands, her basket swinging, her boots splashing. In a tiny puddle, the air softening with the sound of her excitement. Sarah knelt beside the sign, brushing dirt away, the map crinkling as she compared it. "This isn't on here, could be a secret spot." The pines rustled, their needles carpeting the ground, the ravine a stage for this exploration. Max barked, his tail wagging furiously as he pawed at the earth near the sign, uncovering a glint of metal, a rusted tin box half sunken in the soil. The air grew heavy with anticipation, the scent of wet leaves mingling with the metallic tang. Lily dropped to her knees, her jacket brushing the dirt, her small hands digging alongside Max, the basket forgotten beside her. Tom joined, his boots thudding softly, his hands careful as he lifted the box, the lid creaking open to reveal old coins and a crumpled note, the air alive with the rustle of paper. Sarah gasped, "This could be from the settlers. Let's take it home." The sun climbed higher, casting golden streaks through the canopy, the breeze carrying a shiver of wonder, the pines swaying as witnesses. Lily patted Max's head, her fingers sticky with berry juice, her voice a whisper. "Good boy, Max." The dog nuzzled her, his fur warm against her cheek, the air softening with their shared triumph. The note, yellowed and fragile, spoke of a spring used by early pioneers, the ink faded but legible, the coins glinting in the light. Tom folded the map, slipping the find into his pack, the air growing thick with the weight of history uncovered by a child and her dog. The trail widened as they followed the sign's hint, the air filling with the gentle trickle of water, the sound leading them to a hidden spring bubbling up from moss-covered rocks. The water sparkled, reflecting the sun, the scent of fresh water blending with the pine, the clearing a sanctuary for this discovery. Lily dipped her hands in, splashing playfully, her laughter echoing, the basket now filled with berries and the tin box's treasures. Max drank deeply, his tongue lapping, the air softening with the sound of his contentment. Sarah snapped a photo, the camera's click a memento, the flash catching the spring's shimmer. Neighbors' voices carried faintly from the road, the community's curiosity piqued by their earlier heroics, the air growing heavier with the promise of sharing this find. Tom marked the spot on the map, his compass clicking shut, his voice warm. "We'll tell the town. Could be a new landmark." The pines stood tall, their shadows lengthening, the spring a gift from the past, the trail a stage for this adventure. Lily hugged Max, her sticky hands leaving purple streaks on his fur, her giggles a rhythmic comfort. The forest poised for more tales, sparked by a toddler's spirit and a dog's instinct. The afternoon sun bathed Willow Creek, Oregon, in a warm golden glow at 02:00 p.m. PDT on Sunday, June 15, 2025. The air filled with the scent of freshly mowed lawns and the distant aroma of apple pie baking in a nearby home along Route 12. Lily, her green cap slightly askew, her yellow dress dusted with forest dirt, sat on the porch of their home, her small hands clutching the woven basket now brimming with wild blackberries and the rusted tin box unearthed from the hidden spring. Max lounged beside her, his blue collar jingling softly as he panted, his black and tan fur streaked with purple from their morning adventure, his deep brown eyes watching the growing crowd gathering in the yard. The road buzzed with the hum of arriving cars, the pines framing a scene of anticipation, the forest's secret now poised to become the town's treasure. Sarah stepped onto the porch, her hiking boots traded for soft slippers, a tray of lemonade. In hand, the tart citrus scent mingling with the warm breeze, her face alight with excitement. "They're all here for your find, Lily," she said, her voice warm as she set the tray down, the glasses clinking softly. Tom followed, his flannel shirt unbuttoned over a t-shirt, the compass and map tucked into his pocket, the faint rustle of paper audible as he moved. The air softened, the sun casting golden rays across the yard, the porch a stage for this revelation, sparked by Lily's curiosity and Max's keen nose. A news van parked at the curb, its antenna catching the light, the murmur of a reporter's voice blending with the crowd's chatter. Lily giggled as Max nudged the basket, his tail wagging, the air carrying a sharp edge of berry juice and the metallic tang of the tin box. "Show them, Max," she exclaimed, lifting the box to display the old coins and crumpled note, her tiny fingers careful with the fragile paper. The neighbors drew closer, their footsteps soft on the grass, their eyes wide with wonder. Mrs. Carter with her knitting bag, young Jake with his skateboard, the elderly Mr. Hensley leaning on his cane. The air grew thick with anticipation, the sun highlighting the coin's weathered edges, the note's faded ink telling of pioneers who once drank from the spring. Sarah unfolded the map, pointing to the marked spot, the air alive with the rustle of shared history. Tom stepped forward, his boots thudding lightly on the porch, his voice steady as he addressed the crowd. "Lily and Max found this. Let's make it a town landmark." The air softened with the scent of lemonade and freshly cut grass, the crowd nodding in agreement, their murmurs a chorus of approval. The reporter, a woman with a notepad, approached, her microphone catching the sunlight, the scent of her perfume, mingling with the outdoor air. "Can you tell us about it, Lily?" she asked, her voice gentle. Lily beamed, her basket swaying. Max sniffed it out. "It's our treasure." The pines swayed gently, their rustling a backdrop, the yard a stage for this unveiling. The tin box was passed around, the coins clinking softly, the note's words read aloud by Mr. Hensley, his gravelly voice carrying the tale of a pioneer, family, the air growing heavy with the weight of the past. Max sat tall, his collar jingling, his eyes proud as the crowd patted his head, the air softening with the sound of their laughter and praise. Sarah poured lemonade, the glasses clinking. As they were handed out, the tart taste a refreshing note in the warm afternoon, the news camera whirred, the flash capturing Lily holding the box, her innocence a bright thread in the town's new story, the road a quiet witness to this moment. The sun climbed higher, casting dappled shadows across the yard, the breeze carrying a shiver of pride, the pines standing tall as silent guardians. A local historian, Mr. Grayson, arrived with a book under his arm, the scent of old pages trailing him, his voice excited. "This matches records from 1850. Your spring could be preserved." The air grew thick with the promise of legacy, the crowd gathering around a makeshift table where the find was displayed. Lily clapped her hands, her dress swaying, her laughter a rhythmic comfort that lifted the spirits of all present. Max barked softly, his tail wagging, the blue collar a constant jingle, the yard a sanctuary for this revelation. Neighbors brought chairs, the wood creaking as they settled, the air filling with the scent of apple pie as Mrs. Carter shared slices, the sweet cinnamon aroma blending with the lemonade. Tom marked the map with a red pen, the ink bold against the paper, his smile wide as he showed it to the crowd. "We'll name it Lily's Spring," he declared, the air softening with the sound of applause. The reporter scribbled notes, her microphone catching the cheers, the news van's satellite dish humming faintly. Sarah knelt beside Lily, her hand on her daughter's shoulder, tears glistening. "You've given us all something special." The air carried the faint hum of a tractor from a nearby farm, the yard a stage for this shared triumph. The sun dipping lower, casting golden hues across the gathering. Max stretched out beside Lily, his fur warm against her leg, his eyes locked on the crowd, a silent partner in her glory. The historian examined the note, his fingers careful, the air alive with the rustle of turning pages, confirming the spring's historical significance. A child ran up with a drawing of the spring, her crayons bright, her giggles blending with Lily's, the community's love a tangible force in the afternoon light. The sun continued its arc, the shadows lengthening, the breeze bringing the scent of pine and baked goods, the porch a beacon of pride. The crowd thinned as plans were made to visit the spring, the air growing heavier with the weight of their unity, the road stretching toward town, the family's home a center for this new chapter. Lily's tiny hand rested on Max's head, her basket now shared with the neighbors, her laughter a lasting echo, the yard poised for more adventures sparked by a toddler's spirit and a dog's instinct, now woven into Willow Creek's history. The late morning sun illuminated Willow Creek, Oregon, casting a bright glow across the forest clearing at 11 a.m. PDT on Saturday, June 21st, 2025. The air alive with the scent of blooming wildflowers and the savory aroma of barbecue grilling near the newly marked Lily's Spring. Lily, her blonde curls peeking from a wide-brimmed hat adorned with a blue ribbon, wore a crisp white dress with green trim, her small hands clutching a pair of oversized scissors for the ribbon-cutting ceremony. Max stood beside her, his blue collar jingling softly, his black and tan fur brushed to a shine, his deep brown eyes reflecting the gathered crowd, the air thick with the hum of excitement and the trickle of the spring. The road from town wound through the pines, now lined. With colorful flags, the forest transformed into a festive stage for this celebration. Sarah stood nearby, her light jacket fluttering in the breeze, a basket of cookies in hand, the sweet scent of vanilla and chocolate chips mingling with the outdoor air, her face beaming with pride. "You're the star today, Lily," she said, adjusting her daughter's hat, the ribbon swaying. Tom flanked them, his flannel shirt swapped for a clean button-up, a wooden sign reading, "Lily's Spring, 1850, tucked under his arm. The fresh paint's sharp smell blending with the pine. The air softened, the sun casting golden rays over the clearing, the spring's moss-covered rocks glistening, a testament to the town's new landmark. A local band tuned their instruments, the twang of a guitar and the beat of a drum echoing, softly, drawing smiles from the crowd. Lily giggled as Max nudged her leg, his tail wagging, the air carrying the faint tang of barbecue sauce from a nearby grill tended by Mr. Carter, who flipped burgers with a spatula's clatter. "Cut the ribbon, Max," she chirped, holding the scissors high, her tiny fingers struggling with the weight. The neighbors gathered closer, their footsteps soft on the pine needle carpet. Mrs. Grayson with a quilt, young Jake with a kite, the elderly Mr. Hensley with a cane, and a wide grin. The air grew thick with anticipation, the sun highlighting. The ribbon stretched across the spring, the crowd's murmurs a chorus of pride. The reporter from the news van, now a familiar face, adjusted her microphone, the scent of her mint gum blending with the festivities. Tom stepped forward, the sign, creaking as he planted it beside the spring, his voice steady. "This is for Lily and Max, our town's heroes." The air softened with the scent of wildflowers and grilled meat, the crowd applauding, their hands clapping in rhythm with the band's warm-up notes. The historian, Mr. Grayson, joined with a framed map, the old pages crackling, his voice excited. "This spring's history is now part of us." The air grew alive with the rustle of the map as he pointed to the marked spot, the coins and note from the tin box displayed on a table, guarded by a velvet rope. Sarah handed out cookies, the plates clinking, the sweet taste a treat amid the savory barbecue. The ribbon cutting began, Lily's small hands guided by Tom's steady grip, the scissors snipping with a sharp sound, the red ribbon falling to the ground in a cascade of color. The air filled with cheers and the spring's gentle trickle. Max barked, his collar jingling, his leap startling a laugh from the crowd, the air softening with the sound of their joy. The band struck up a lively tune, the guitar strumming and drums beating, the clearing a stage for this celebration. The reporter filmed, her camera whirring, the flash capturing Lily's triumphant grin, her innocence a bright thread in the town's fabric, the road a quiet witness to this milestone. The sun climbed higher, casting dappled shadows across the clearing, the breeze carrying a shiver of unity, the pines standing tall as silent sentinels. A picnic table groaned under the weight of food, potato salad, corn on the cob, pies, the air growing thick with the mingled scents of the feast. Lily skipped to the spring, her boots splashing in the shallow edge, her laughter echoing, the basket now filled with flowers picked by the children. Max followed, his paws wet, his tail wagging, the blue collar a constant jingle, the yard a sanctuary for this unveiling. Mr. Hensley toasted with lemonade, the glasses clinking, his voice, barmdues to Lily and Max. The crowd thickened, the air heavy with the weight of their shared pride, the band's music swelling with a folk song about the pioneers, the lyrics weaving the spring's tale. Sarah knelt beside Lily, her hand on her daughter's shoulder, tears glistening. "You've made history today." Tom joined, his boots thudding softly, the sign now upright, the paint drying in the sun. The historian presented a plaque, the metal cool as it was handed to Lily, the inscription reading "Lily's Spring, dedicated 2025, the air alive with the sound of hammering as it was mounted. A child ran up with a crown of daisies, placing it on Lily's head, her giggles blending with the music. The air carried the faint hum of a drone overhead, capturing the event for the news, the pines swaying gently, their rustling a soft counterpoint to the celebration. The barbecue sizzled, the scent of charred burgers and sweet corn adding to the feast, the table a communal offering. Max stretched out beside Lily, his fur warm against her leg, his eyes watching the crowd, a silent partner in her glory. "Yao," reporter interviewed Tom, the microphone catching his words. "It's her spirit that brought us here." The sun dipped lower, casting golden hues across the clearing, the road stretching toward town, the spring a new heart for Willow Creek. The band played on, the music a lively dance, the air softening with the scent of flowers and food. The clearing, a stage for this legacy. The crowd danced, their laughter a rhythmic comfort, the picnic table emptying as the feast was shared. Lily's tiny hand rested on Max's head, her daisy crown tilting, her voice a happy hum, the spring's water reflecting the celebration. The air grew heavier with the weight of their unity, the pines framing this moment, the road a quiet backdrop, the family's home a beacon, poised for more tales, sparked by a toddler's courage and a dog's loyal heart, now etched into the town's history. The morning sun filtered through the dense pines of Willow Creek, Oregon, casting a gentle light across the clearing at Lily's Spring at 09 a.m. PDT on Saturday, July 12, 2025, the air fragrant with the scent of summer wildflowers and the earthy dampness of the moss-covered rocks around the bubbling spring. Lily, her blonde curls tied back with a green ribbon, wore a light blue sundress, her small hands cradling a watering can as she tended to a row of newly planted marigolds near the spring's edge. Max trotted beside her, his blue collar jingling softly, his black and tan fur sleek from a recent bath, his deep brown eyes watchful, the air filled with the rustle of leaves and the faint hum of bees. The road from town was quiet, the clearing now a thriving garden, a testament to the promise sparked by their discovery. Sarah knelt nearby, her gardening gloves dusted with soil, a trowel in hand, the scent of fresh earth and her rose-scented, hand cream blending with the morning breeze, her voice soft. "These will bloom beautifully, Lily." She adjusted a small sign reading, "Lily's Garden," the wood still new, its paint glistening in the sun. Tom stood at the spring's edge, his flannel shirt rolled up, a fishing rod in hand. The faint splash of water as he cast a line echoing softly, the air softening with the scent of pine and the cool mist from the spring. The air grew thick with the promise of growth, the sun casting golden rays over the clearing, the pines standing tall as silent witnesses to this new chapter. A cardinal sang from a branch, its red flash a burst of color against the green. Lily giggled as Max sniffed the marigolds, his nose twitching, the air carrying a sharp edge of their spicy scent. "Grow big, flowers," she chirped, pouring water carefully, the droplets sparkling in the light, her tiny boots sinking slightly into the soft soil. The dog wagged his tail, his paws leaving gentle prints, the air softening with the sound of her happy hum. Sarah smiled, planting a seedling, the trowel clicking against a stone, the air growing alive with the rustle of leaves as a gentle breeze passed. Tom reeled in his line, a small trout wriggling, the water's splash a rhythmic note, his voice warm. "Lunch is on, thanks to this spring." The clearing buzzed with quiet life, the air filled with the hum of insects and the trickle of the spring, the garden expanding with daisies and lavender added by neighbors. Max bounded to the water's edge, his collar jingling, his reflection rippling as he lapped, the air carrying the cool freshness of the spring. Lily joined him, her watering can empty, her dress brushing the grass, her laughter echoing as she tossed a stick for Max to fetch, the wood thudding softly against the ground. Sarah wiped her brow, the gloves creaking, the air softening with the scent of blooming flowers and the earthy richness of the soil, the clearing a sanctuary for this growth. The sun climbed higher, casting dappled shadows across the garden, the breeze bringing the faint scent of pine resin, the pines swaying gently. Neighbors arrived, their footsteps soft on the path. Mrs. Carter with a basket of seeds, young Jake, with a kite now tangled in a branch, Mr. Hensley with a cane and a jar of honey. The air grew thick with community spirit, the sun highlighting the marigold's orange petals, the spring's water reflecting their efforts. Sarah handed out seedlings, the paper packets rustling, her voice bright. "Let's make it a community garden." The crowd nodded, their murmurs a chorus of agreement, the air alive with the sound of trowels and laughter. Max returned the stick, dropping it at Lily's feet, his wet nose leaving a mark on her dress, the air softening with his panting breath. Tom cleaned the trout, the knife scrape a soft rhythm, the scent of fish blending with the flowers, his smile wide as he showed Lily. "We'll cook it together," he said, the air growing heavy with the promise of a shared meal. The historian, Mr. Grayson, arrived with a notebook, the scent of ink trailing him, his voice excited. "The garden's growth mirrors the spring's history. Let's document it." The air filled with the rustle of pages, the clearing a stage for this living legacy. The garden thrived, the marigolds stretching toward the sun, the air carrying the faint buzz of a hummingbird, its wings a blur near the lavender. Lily watered, again her can refilled from the spring, the water cool against her hands, her giggles a rhythmic comfort. Max chased a butterfly, his collar jingling, the air softening with the sound of his playful bark. Sarah planted a rose bush, the thorns pricking her gloves, the air growing thick with the scent of its blooms. Tom set up a small grill, the metal clanging, the scent of charcoal and fish adding a savory note, the clearing a haven for this promise. The sun dipped lower, casting golden hues across the garden, the breeze bringing the scent of pine and wildflowers, the pines framing this moment of growth. Neighbors worked together, their hands busy with seeds and water, the air heavy with their unity, the road a quiet backdrop. Mr. Hensley shared honey, the jars clinking, his voice warm, for the garden's keepers. Lily's tiny hand rested on Max's head, her dress stained with soil, her laughter a lasting echo, the spring's water reflecting the thriving plants. The air softened with the scent of earth and blossoms. The clearing poised for more seasons, sparked by a toddler's care and a dog's joyful spirit, now rooted in Willow Creek's heart. The late summer sun bathed Willow Creek, Oregon, in a warm glow at 10 a.m. PDT on Saturday, August 16, 2025. The air rich with the scent of ripe tomatoes and the smoky aroma of a bonfire crackling near Lily's spring. Lily, her blonde curls tucked under a straw hat with a red ribbon, wore a yellow sundress dotted with flower patterns, her small hands holding a woven basket overflowing with freshly picked marigolds, daisies, and lavender from the thriving garden. Max trotted beside her, his blue collar jingling softly, his black and tan fur dappled with pollen from the flowers, his deep brown eyes gleaming with excitement, the air filled with the hum of the gathered crowd. The road from town was lined with hay bales and lanterns, the clearing transformed into a festive harvest ground, the spring's gentle trickle a constant heartbeat. Sarah bustled about, her apron dusted with flour, a tray of golden cornbread in hand, the sweet buttery scent mingling with the outdoor breeze, her voice bright. "Time to share the garden's bounty, Lily." She set the tray on a long wooden table, the wood creaking under the weight of pies and jams. Tom stood near the bonfire, his flannel shirt sleeves rolled up, a spit roasting a whole turkey, the faint sizzle of fat dripping into the flames blending with the air, his smile wide as he turned the meat. The air softened, the sun casting golden rays over the clearing, the garden's vibrant blooms framing the spring, the pines standing tall as silent sentinels. A fiddler tuned his instrument, the high-pitched notes weaving through the morning, drawing nods of approval. Lily giggled as Max sniffed a ripe tomato, his nose leaving a faint mark, the air carrying a sharp edge of its tangy scent. "For the feast, Max," she exclaimed, adding it to her basket, her tiny boots crunching on the dry grass. The dog wagged his tail, his paws leaving gentle prints, the air softening with the sound of her cheerful chatter. Sarah arranged the cornbread, the knife slicing through with a soft scrape, the air growing alive with the rustle of leaves as a gentle breeze passed. Tom basted the turkey, the brushes swish a rhythmic note, his voice warm. "This spring keeps giving us more." The clearing buzzed with festival life, the air filled with the hum of voices and the clatter of plates as neighbors set up stalls. Mrs. Carter with honey jars, young Jake with carved wooden toys, Mr. Hensley with a basket of apples. Max bounded to the spring, his collar jingling, his reflection rippling as he drank, the air carrying the cool freshness of the water. Lily joined the stalls, her basket swaying, her laughter echoing as she handed out flowers, the petals brushing the ground. Sarah wiped her hands, the apron rustling, the air softening with the scent of baked goods and the earthy richness of the harvest, the clearing a haven for this gathering. The sun climbed higher, casting dappled shadows across the garden, the breeze bringing the faint scent of pine smoke, the pines swaying gently. The fiddler struck up a lively tune, the bow dancing across the strings, the clearing a stage for this harvest. Neighbors danced, their boots thudding softly, the air growing, thick with community joy, the sun highlighting the garden's ripe produce, pumpkins, zucchini, and sunflowers. Sarah handed out cornbread slices, the plates clinking, her voice bright. "From Lily's garden to our table." The crowd cheered, their murmurs a chorus of gratitude, the air alive with the sound of laughter and music. Max returned with a stick, dropping it at Lily's feet, his wet nose leaving a mark on her dress, the air softening with his panting breath. Tom carved the turkey, the knife's scrape a soft rhythm, the scent of roasted meat blending with the flowers, his smile wide as he served the crowd. "A feast to remember," he said, the air growing heavy with the promise of shared abundance. The historian, Mr. Grayson, arrived with a ledger, the scent of ink trailing him, his voice excited. "This harvest marks a new tradition. Let's record it." The air filled with the rustle of pages, the clearing a stage for this living legacy. The garden yielded its riches, the marigolds framing the spring, the air carrying the faint buzz of a bumblebee, its wings a hum near the lavender. Lily watered a late-blooming rose, her can refilled from the spring, the water cool against her hands, her giggles a rhythmic comfort. Max chased a falling leaf, his collar jingling, the air softening with the sound of his playful bark. Sarah added jam jars to the table, the lids popping as they sealed, the air growing thick with the scent of strawberries. Tom stoked the bonfire, the wood crackling, the scent of smoke and roasted turkey adding a savory note, the clearing a haven for this harvest. The sun dipped lower, casting golden hues across the garden, the breeze bringing the scent of pine and ripe fruit, the pines framing this moment of abundance. Neighbors worked together, their hands busy with food and crafts, the air heavy with their unity, the road a quiet backdrop. Mr. Hensley shared apples, the baskets thumping, his voice warm, for the festival's keepers. Lily's tiny hand rested on Max's head, her dress stained with pollen, her laughter a lasting echo, the spring's water reflecting the thriving garden. The air softened with the scent of earth and feast, the clearing poised for more seasons, sparked by a toddler's care and a dog's joyful spirit, now woven into Willow Creek's traditions. The winter sun cast a pale light over Willow Creek, Oregon, filtering through the bare branches of the pines at 10 a.m. PDT on Saturday, December 20th, 2025. The air crisp with the scent of snow-dusted evergreens and the faint smokiness of a distant hearth. Lily, her blonde curls peeking from a red knit cap, wore a thick winter coat and mittens, her small hands clutching a thermos of hot cocoa as she trudged through the snow toward Lily's spring. Max padded beside her, his blue collar jingling softly beneath a plaid dog sweater, his black and tan fur fluffed against the cold, his deep brown eyes scanning the frosty clearing, the air filled with the crunch of snow under their boots. The road from town was blanketed in white, the clearing a quiet sanctuary, the spring's gentle trickle now a soft gurgle beneath a thin layer of ice. Sarah followed, her boots sinking into the snow, a wool scarf wrapped around her neck, the scent of cinnamon from the thermos blending with the chilly air, her voice gentle. "Let's see how the spring looks, Lily." She carried a small wreath of pine branches, the needles prickling her gloves, the air softening with the scent of resin. Tom brought up the rear, his flannel shirt layered under a heavy jacket, a shovel in hand to clear a path, the metal scraping softly against the snow, his breath visible in the cold. The air grew thick with the promise of reflection, the sun casting a silvery glow over the clearing, the garden dormant under snow, the pines standing tall as silent guardians. A chickadee chirped from a branch, its black cap a stark contrast to the white. Lily giggled as Max pawed at the snow, his nose burrowing, the air carrying a sharp edge of frost and the faint sweetness of cocoa. "Snow for Max," she exclaimed, scooping a handful and tossing it, the flakes sparkling in the light, her mittens leaving tiny prints. The dog wagged his tail, his sweater catching snowflakes, the air softening with the sound of her joyful squeal. Sarah hung the wreath on the Lily Spring 1850 sign, the pine needles rustling, the air growing alive with the scent of winter as a breeze passed. Tom cleared a spot by the spring, the shovel's scrape a rhythmic note, his voice warm, still flowing strong. The clearing held a quiet beauty, the air filled with the hush of falling snow and the trickle of the spring, the garden's bare stalks peeking through the white, a reminder of summer's abundance. Max bounded to the spring's edge, his collar jingling, his reflection distorted in the icy surface as he sniffed, the air carrying the cool freshness of the water. Lily joined him, her thermos warm against her hands, her laughter echoing as she poured cocoa into a cup, the steam rising in the cold, the air softening with the scent of chocolate and pine. Sarah brushed snow from the sign, the gloves creaking, the air growing thick with the weight of memories, the clearing a haven for this reflection. The sun climbed higher, casting dappled shadows across the snow, the breeze bringing the faint scent of wood smoke, the pines swaying gently. Neighbors arrived, their boots crunching. Mrs. Carter with a thermos of soup, young Jake with a sled, Mr. Hensley with a cane and a wool blanket. The air grew thick with community warmth, the sun highlighting the wreaths green against the white, the spring's water a lifeline beneath the ice. Sarah handed out soup, the cups clinking, her voice bright. A winter toast to Lily's spring. The crowd nodded, their murmurs a chorus of appreciation, the air alive with the sound of spoons and soft laughter. Max returned with a stick buried in snow, dropping it at Lily's feet, his wet nose leaving a mark on her coat, the air softening with his panting breath. Tom stoked a small fire from gathered twigs, the wood crackling, the scent of smoke blending with the cocoa, his smile wide as he warmed his hands. "A good day to remember," he said, the air growing heavy with the promise of tradition. The historian Mr. Grayson arrived with a journal, the scent of leather trailing him, his voice excited. "This winter visit adds to the spring story. Let's write it down." The air filled with the rustle of pages, the clearing a stage for this reflective legacy. The spring flowed steadily, the ice thinning near the source, the air carrying the faint drip of melting snow, its sound a gentle pulse. Lily sipped her cocoa, her mittens steaming, her giggles a rhythmic comfort as she shared with Max, who lapped eagerly. The dog chased a snowball, his collar jingling, the air softening with the sound of his playful bark. Sarah added logs to the fire, the flames crackling, the air growing thick with the scent of burning pine. Tom carved a small wooden marker, the knife's scrape a soft rhythm, the scent of fresh wood adding a woody note, the clearing a haven for this winter promise. The sun dipped lower, casting golden hues across the snow, the breeze bringing the scent of pine and smoke, the pines framing this moment of reflection. Neighbors gathered around the fire, their hands busy with cups and blankets, the air heavy with their unity, the road a quiet backdrop. Mr. Hensley shared soup, the ladle clinking, his voice warm. "For the spring's caretakers." Lily's tiny hand rested on Max's head, her coat dusted with snow, her laughter a lasting echo, the spring's water reflecting the firelight. The air softened with the scent of cocoa and wood smoke, the clearing poised for more seasons, sparked by a toddler's wonder and a dog's loyal heart, now a cornerstone of Willow Creek's winter. The early spring sun filtered through the budding pines of Willow Creek, Oregon, casting a soft light across the clearing at Lily's Spring at 09:01 a.m. PDT on Saturday, March 21, 2026, the air fragrant, with the scent of damp earth and the first blooms of crocuses pushing through the melting snow. Lily, her blonde curls loose under a pink sun hat, wore a light green jacket and boots, her small hands cradling a seedling pot as she knelt by the garden's edge, eager to replant. Max trotted beside her, his blue collar jingling softly, his black and tan fur shedding winter's thickness, his deep brown eyes bright with the promise of renewal, the air filled with the chirp of returning birds. The road from town was dotted with patches of green, the clearing awakening with life, the spring's gentle trickle a revitalizing pulse. Sarah stood nearby, her gardening gloves streaked with soil, a trowel in hand, the scent of fresh compost and her lavender hand cream blending with the morning breeze. Her voice warm. "Let's bring the garden back, Lily." She adjusted the Lily's Garden sign, now weathered but sturdy, the wood creaking softly in the wind. Tom worked at the spring, his flannel shirt rolled up, a net in hand to clear winter debris, the faint splash of water echoing, the air softening with the scent of pine and the cool mist rising from the flow. The air grew thick with the promise of rebirth, the sun casting golden rays over the clearing, the pines stretching new needles, a canvas for this new season. A robin hopped nearby, its red breast a splash of color against the earth. Lily giggled, as Max sniffed the crocuses, his nose twitching, the air carrying a sharp edge of their delicate scent. "Flowers for spring, Max," she exclaimed, planting the seedling with care, the soil crumbling under her fingers, her boots leaving tiny prints. The dog wagged his tail, his paws brushing the new growth, the air softening with the sound of her happy hum. Sarah smiled, digging a hole, the trowel clicking against a root, the air growing alive with the rustle of leaves as a gentle breeze passed. Tom pulled a branch from the spring, the net swishing, his voice bright. Clearing the way for new life. The clearing buzzed with early spring energy, the air filled with the hum of bees and the trickle of the spring, the garden waking with tulip bulbs and daffodils added by neighbors. Max bounded to the water's edge, his collar jingling, his reflection rippling as he drank, the air carrying the cool freshness of the flow. Lily joined him, her pot empty, her jacket brushing the grass, her laughter echoing as she tossed a stick for Max to fetch, the wood thudding softly against the ground. Sarah wiped her brow, the gloves creaking, the air softening with the scent of blooming crocuses and the earthy richness of the soil, the clearing a haven for this renewal. The sun climbed higher, casting dappled shadows across the garden, the breeze bringing the faint scent of pine sap, the pines swaying gently. Neighbors arrived, their boots crunching on the damp path. Mrs. Carter with a tray of seedlings, young Jake with a kite catching the wind, Mr. Hensley with a cane and a jar of maple syrup. The air grew thick with community renewal, the sun highlighting, the crocus's purple petals, the spring's water reflecting their efforts. Sarah handed out bulbs, the paper packets rustling, her voice bright. Let's grow it together again. The crowd nodded, their murmurs a chorus of hope, the air alive with the sound of trowels and soft chatter. Max returned the stick, dropping it at Lily's feet, his wet nose leaving a mark on her jacket, the air softening with his panting breath. Tom cleared the last debris, the net's swish a soft rhythm, the scent of wet wood blending with the flowers, his smile wide as he tested the spring's flow. Ready for spring, he said, the air growing heavy with the promise of new beginnings. The historian, Mr. Grayson, arrived with a sketchbook, the scent of pencil shavings trailing him, his voice excited. This renewal adds to the spring's legacy. Let's draw it. The air filled with the scratch of charcoal, the clearing, a stage for this living rebirth. The garden stirred, the crocuses stretching toward the sun, the air carrying the faint buzz of a honeybee, its wings a hum near the tulips. Lily watered the seedling, her can refilled from the spring, the water cool against her hands, her giggles a rhythmic comfort. Max chased a fluttering butterfly, his collar jingling, the air softening with the sound of his playful bark. Sarah planted a lilac bush, the roots settling into the soil, the air growing thick with the scent of its buds. Tom set up a small bench, the wood creaking, the scent of fresh lumber adding a woody note, the clearing a haven for this spring promise. The sun dipped lower, casting golden hues across the garden, the breeze bringing the scent of pine and new, blooms the pines framing this moment of rebirth. Neighbors worked together, their hands busy with bulbs and water, the air heavy with their unity, the road a quiet backdrop. Mr. Hensley shared syrup, the jars clinking, his voice warm. For the spring's nurturers. Lily's tiny hand rested on Max's head, her jacket dusted with soil, her laughter a lasting echo, the spring's water reflecting the budding plants. The air softened with the scent of earth and flowers, the clearing poised for more growth, sparked by a toddler's care and a dog's joyful spirit. Now a cornerstone of Willow Creek's spring.